Welcome to the Soul Tribe Podcast. The Soul Tribe Podcast was created to help you navigate through the world of spirituality, wellness, and self-development in an easy, grounded, and relatable way. We break down everything from the Akashic Records, manifesting, spirituality, and so much more. We want to help expand your boundaries and bring the spiritual world to you in a fun and easy way. Get ready to be inspired with tips, tools, and easy to digest information. Let's do this.
Welcome back to the Soul Tribe Podcast, everybody. This is Lorena, and I'm doing a solo episode today. And there's quite a few things I really want to talk about, but mainly I think today I want to do like a quick episode kind of talking about a little bit about incarnation, but really about our self-love and our personal kind of growth and journey in this life and how that's really connected and it affects how we connect to our higher self, we download information, all that. And I know last episode we talked a lot about what's blocking you from your connection. And for me, and obviously you guys have probably listened to one of the first episodes that we did when we talked about our personal journeys, my spiritual journey was very much linked to my self-love journey because I was really blocking myself from, well, first of all, the worthiness was a huge thing for me and really blocking me from feeling worthy of connecting and channeling and trusting myself. I think that was a big thing. I didn't really trust myself and I just kind of brushed stuff off and I didn't keep at it. I think a big part of any spiritual practice is the actual practice. You have to practice it. You have to embody it. You have to really live it. And you can't just give up when you feel that you aren't channeling because that doesn't mean that you're not able to channel. It just means that you might have a little bit more blocks there. And for me, my self-love or lack of self-love was a huge block for me, like so big. I see this so much in the readings I do for other people and how this worthiness and lack of feeling love for themselves really blocks them from connecting because I don't think there's been one reading where something about connection hasn't come through in some way or another. It doesn't have to be, oh, I can't channel or just I can't connect to myself. I can't listen to my intuition, like even that, right? So what I really wanted to go through today was just talk about a few things that are, to me, are important to mention within this. And I don't remember if we talked about this in the other episode that we did, but really to understand why are we here? And a lot of us will ask that question during a session or to ourselves or when we connect and understand it through our masters, our guides, our soul, our beings of light. And ultimately, we are all here, or we've all chosen, and I like to use that word because I think it empowers us to understand that we have chosen to be here, even if we don't understand it or get it. Our soul has chosen to come here to incarnate in this life with this body that we have, with this personality that we have, with these struggles that we have, because there's certain lessons we need to really learn and incorporate. And we don't come here to just laugh and have joy all the time. Part of why we're here is to really learn through these lessons and struggles in this life. And that's why we really need to take those on and not fear them, not push them aside, understand that they're there for a reason, and they're there to help us expand and move forward and to elevate. Really, that's really empowering if you think about that, right? If you really think, wow, these struggles aren't here, like that saying, right? This isn't happening to me, it's happening for me. And I totally believe that. And I think if we can get out of that victim role, and we talk a lot about that in a few episodes and even in the Akashic Records courses, being in the victim role is literally what's going to keep you from connecting and from healing. Because when we're in that victim role, we're not able to see the bigger picture. We're not able to understand and move through those feelings. And this isn't about, just saying, okay, cool, I have this struggle, it's fine. It's, okay, I have this struggle, I understand where it's coming from. I want to see how I feel through that. And what do I need? And really asking yourself, what do I need to learn here? And usually it's not about somebody else, right? It's about us. It's about how we're dealing with that situation. So really taking responsibility and allowing that to just incorporate that into our healing and to the process of healing, really. And really being able to look at it from every angle and not fall into that victim role. Because I think I fell into that for years. I know I fell into that victim role for so long and didn't feel empowered. And I think that's a big part of why Lucy and I even do this podcast. We want to empower you to see things from a different way, from a different angle, from a different perspective, so that you can start to take control of your life, be it through starting to feel your emotions, starting to connect to your higher self and get answers, or just to see the world in a different way, even just with information, like, through an Akashic Records reading, you receiving information can give you that perspective you need so that you can start to go on that healing journey and to start to feel things and see things from a different kind of angle. And that could just be your first step into healing, their first step into moving out of that victim role. But that victim role it can really hinder us. So I really want to encourage anybody that's listening to this to really just get out of that role and to really think, okay, this is happening. I need to learn something from it. And this isn't happening for it to ruin my life. It's here because I need to see something and I need to learn something. So, if we really think about incarnations and these lessons that we need to really look at, because a lot of times it could be huge lessons, right? And I get that a lot of us are going through huge, huge things and very painful things. And some of us might not experience that right now or ever. And that's part of our journey. And I think being empathetic to everybody and being able to see things from different perspectives also helps us kind of get perspective on our life, and realizing that we do need to overcome these things. We need to feel the emotions, we need to heal it, and then we need to move on. Because if you really understand the spiritual aspect of that, and this is what I understand and what I kind of receive through the Akashic Records, is once we've kind of healed that lesson, healed that wound, be it from a past life, be it from our childhood, from some type of trauma that we've experienced, that turns into light, and that's incorporated into our soul, and that turns into wisdom. So that means in our next incarnation, we're not going to experience that again. But I want to really go into this. This is just kind of like a backstory or kind of like a foundation to understand the struggling and why you might not feel like you're on your spiritual path fully and why you might be struggling. So just understanding that base, that foundation, I think is really important. And, I think a lot of us now realize how important it is to really connect with ourselves spiritually, to connect with our soul and to our purpose here, and to not just live this life of just, okay, I'm here, I'm just doing stuff and it's great, but that there's a bigger reason for you being here, and it's different for everybody, and it's not about you comparing yourself to somebody else, because that's going into ego, right? But I kind of want to talk a little bit about what was holding me back, because it is so unique to everybody, and not all of us are here to experience the same thing. So for me, I did learn to read the Akashic Records, or my own Akashic Records. It was probably like, I want to say 12, 14 years ago. And I would use the tool. I used it more to feel more grounded, to calm my energy, because I wasn't able to receive information. And for me, it was really hard. But having kind of like looking back now, I realize, oh shoot, that was all because I wasn't trusting myself. First of all, I wasn't listening to myself, my needs, what I needed, what I wanted, but also not listening to myself internally, my intuition. So how am I going to be able to channel and receive information through the Akashic Records when I can't even listen to myself on a day-to-day basis? Like, it just, you know what I mean? Those two things are important. But realizing and having that kind of introspection and connecting to ourselves through meditation or breathwork, whatever that is, and realizing these emotions that are inside of us and what's holding us back from everything. Because this is just one aspect of it, right? Connecting and channeling. But there are different aspects of spirituality that we might not touch on the podcast necessarily. But also this connection to self so that you can live this fulfilled life and that you can really feel full and empowered and worthy of everything that needs to come into your life, because it does need to come into your life. But we're holding ourselves back. And I was holding myself back so much. Like, if I look back, it's just like, wow, how did I not believe in myself or see myself for who I was? And that it has a ripple effect on your life and everything that you choose or you don't choose. And obviously that was and is my journey, and it still is. And I say that to everybody. Like, I haven't fully gotten to that point where I think I fully love myself and accept myself. There are different aspects that I still need to look at and listen to myself, of course. But I'm able to connect. But because I started trusting myself, and even in like last week's episode, when we talk about my worthiness towards the Akashic Records and how that, I think I've worked through that a little bit. And thanks to that class, I think a lot of that is like, I've started to kind of empower myself and realize, yeah, there's a reason I'm doing this and I'm helping people, and I need to believe that I can help people. And that goes for any of you listening too. Like, if you are on this path and you feel like you need to start helping people, but you don't feel like you're there yet, I encourage you to really just step it up and just say, you know what? I don't have to be perfect, but there's this one thing that I connect with, this one tool, and I know I can help people. Like, you know that deep inside of yourself. Trust that. And don't let whatever you're going through, because look, I'm not perfect. Lucia's not perfect. Even people we get readings from, they're not perfect. We're all going through our own personal struggles. And this is something that we kind of hammer into people in our courses, especially our Zoom course where we're one-on-one speaking to people on a Zoom call. It's because you start opening the Akashic Records, or because you start doing readings for other people, or because you do Reiki or anything, it doesn't matter. That doesn't mean you're perfect or you're not flawed. That one doesn't mean the other, right? It's okay. I'm starting to open records for other people. I need to make sure I still heal things and I look at things, because it is a process. It's a journey, but that doesn't mean that I can't help people. So I think really knowing that, understanding that, accepting that, and saying, okay, my life doesn't look the way I think in my mind. That's ego, right? Because we have this idea of like, our life needs to look a specific way for us to be these spiritual beings, right? And it doesn't. None of us are perfect. It will never be perfect. And you just have to do what you need to do. And if your purpose here is to help others, especially now, guys, do it. Just put on your big girl pants, your big boy pants, and just start doing it. Like, you need to start creating that change and start just doing and creating. And I say creating because a lot of this, to me, spiritually is creation. We're creating a bond with our masters, our guides. We're creating a bond with ourselves. We're creating change. We're creating a higher vibration. It's all of that, right? So I think really knowing and understanding that, no, it does not have to look perfect. You don't have to be living a specific way, but we do need to be in that energy of like, okay, I'm not perfect, but I am healing. I am on this healing journey, and I'm going to work on myself every single day. That's how we get from point A to point B. And that's how we start helping others, when we start helping ourselves. And it really is about, like, if you don't have this, like, if your cup isn't full, how are you going to help others? And I've said that before, I think in some posts on my social media, that we really need to be taking care of ourselves to help others, because it will drain your energy. It will create a lot of, especially, and I think for myself, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this, like, especially when in my whole life, it's been thinking about others and not myself. It's like, well, I need to start thinking about myself, because if I don't take care of myself and heal myself, then how am I going to continue to help people? It's not going to work. It's not going it's not going to be as fulfilling. It's not going to be as amazing as you want it to be. So I think that's just another element to take into consideration. And I think a lot of us listening to this podcast are on a journey. It doesn't matter what kind of journey, if it's self-love, if it's spiritual, if it's finding yourself, it's all a journey, and we need to look at it that way. It's like, we can't expect things to be like 100 miles an hour right away. Like, we need to start slow. We need to really make it a process. And it starts with those daily habits, I think. And I that's something I understand more and more, right? It's, what am I doing today to get me from point A to point B? And it's not doing hours of work. I don't think it's about that. It's the intention you put behind those minutes or that hour that you put in every day. So that's why, when you practice, for example, the Akashic Records or Reiki, Reiki, I remember it was like I had to do 30 days of doing Reiki on myself, which is you have to be very dedicated. You have to really want it. So I think this is where the filter goes into some of these tools, is like, are you really ready for it? Do you want to put in the work? Is it something that you really, really want? And if you do, then we have to have to go through that. You have to struggle a little bit. When you don't want to do it, you're still going to do it. And it's not about pushing yourself past the point of like exhaustion. It's like, okay, today I'm tired. I'm not going to do today, but I'm going to get back to it tomorrow. And being kind of giving yourself that self-love, right? But also understanding when you're pushing your limits too hard. And that's complete intuition and connection with self. And no one else can tell you what's right or wrong, not even us, not anybody. So I think getting to this nice balance, especially now with ourselves and with our environment and with work and with our partners and with everything, with our spiritual practice, is super important, because our lives are all different. No one can tell us what's right or wrong. Me connecting to my Akashic Records an hour a day might be good for me, but might not be good for somebody else. And we need to honor that and understand ourselves and realize that there isn't this cookie cutter kind of formula to become anything. It is what we need to make it. And we need to just listen to ourselves and be honest. And there's an aspect of listening to ourselves, but an aspect of a little bit of tough love, and realizing when we're holding ourselves back, procrastinating, and not wanting to do the work because there is some ego there and we're fearful of what it can bring into our lives, right? But I think when we're ready, and we're not going to BS ourselves. We're not going to procrastinate, and we're going to just buckle down and do the work and practice, because part of spirituality is practice. It's spiritual practice, right? So work on, this is kind of like I don't know what this episode is, to be honest. And I'm just rambling now, and whatever's coming is coming. But, we need to really let go of our ego. I think that's a big thing with any spiritual thing. It's the more we get into our heads, the more we try to write things down and make things something that they're not, the more we're going to be resistant to it. So it's really letting go. And this is where I like meditation and breath work, because it really helps us connect to ourselves and our intuition, and pushes away from our ego and our mind, which are holding us back from connecting into our higher self. Our ego and our mind are there to help us, of course, but not necessarily through our spiritual practices. So I don't know. I feel like a lot of us need to work on our worthiness, our love, understanding ourselves more. So it's that idea of what's happened in my life? Where do I need to really look at? What aspects do I need to look at where I have this shame, this guilt, this not wanting to forgive myself for something I've done? And it's hard, man. Like, I've been through that, and it's not easy. And it's really being real with yourself and realizing, look, I'm not perfect. Understanding that and saying, I've made mistakes. I've done things that I probably, quote unquote, shouldn't have. But thanks to all of that, I'm here today, and I'm able to help people. I'm able to have had this awakening or this aha moment, and I'm grateful for that. So I kind of want to just say that, because I think a lot of you might be in that position, and there's no need for you to go down and just, because to me, it's like that repetitive. It's over and over and over. And it's like you get in this loop of not taking care of yourself, of not feeling worthy, of not feeling worthy of love, of not giving yourself credit for things, of not patting yourself on the back. And that's all holding you back from really feeling worthy of what needs to come into your life, be it spiritual or not. And I think we're all done with holding ourselves back. Screw that, right? Like, why are we holding ourselves back? To me, a lot of it is, trauma. A lot of it is things that we're not looking at and we're scared to look at. And we don't need to be scared to look at it. I think if anything, 2020 and 2021 has really taught us, and everything that's happened is we can't go into fear. If we go into fear and worrying, we're not going to see the bigger picture, and we're not going to be able to make the decisions that we need to make in our life for a higher good. Like, I encourage everybody, especially now, not to go into fear, not to go into that mindset. I trust the universe. I trust what's happening, but I also see what's happening. I also want to see what's happening. I don't want to hide from what's happening, be it your life or the reality that we're living right now. And we have the power to start seeing, and we have the power to start taking care of ourselves. That's empowerment right there. So empower yourself however that needs to look, however that needs to be. If that means doing things differently, if that means creating new habits, empower yourself to start really living the life that you need to live and breaking free of these things that are holding you back so that you can start connecting spiritually. And there's not much more. I really wanted to make this episode short. Next week, we'll get back to like Lucia connecting with me on the podcast. But I just wanted to make like a quick, motivational episode because I'm feeling these things a lot lately. And I think a lot of you needed to hear this. And especially, and the kind of message I'm getting through the Akashic Records is this idea of a lot of you here listening to this podcast right now are questioning if you need to go into the spiritual path. And when I say that, it's like helping others, especially. That's what's coming up for me right now. To tell you that, yes, you are ready. You might not have it all figured out right now, but do it. Like, get your butt up and do the work and start to create that reality now. Now is the time. And this is a message I got, November, December last year. Like, this is the time that we need to start creating change. And maybe that change that I was seeing wasn't clear to me at the moment, but now what's coming through is that we need to start helping others in whatever way that looks for you, and helping yourself. So if that means empowering yourself and doing things differently and, making a complete change in your life, really start thinking about it and doing it. Hype yourself up. Start to believe in yourself. Start to take care of yourself and realize whatever it is that you're doubting in yourself is only something that's projected from your ego, and it's not something that you have to believe. And just going back to the whole, I keep getting this really strong message right now of a lot of you listening are like, wow, I really want to help. I really want to do this spiritual thing, but I don't know how to start, or I don't know if this is for me or if I'm even worthy of this. And the masters and guides are saying, yes, you are. Believe it. And then from there, you can move forward and start to make and take action. But if you're holding yourself back even from the starting point because you don't believe in yourself and you don't have that self-love or that self-awareness, then you're going to keep holding yourself back. So it's letting that go and saying, okay, I'm ready. And really believing that I'm ready to start doing what it is I'm here to do. And like I said, this will be different for everybody. So don't try to compare yourself. Don't try to look to your side and say, hey, what are you doing? What should I do? Or trying to copy somebody. It's make it your own. Connect. And something I've learned, I think, throughout the years is, I wanted to find my passion. I wanted to do this one thing and be really good at it. And I kept using my ego. I'm like, okay, if I did this one thing, my life will look like this and it'd be amazing. And then I kept trying those things. I'm like, I just don't feel it. It just does not connect with me. And the moment I kind of surrendered and let go is like, okay, wow, the Akashic Records I had this in my life for forever, and yet I didn't even see it was right there. And I wasn't ready for it. I believe that and I know that now. But it's like the more I used my ego to find that purpose and that passion in my life, the more I was pulling away from what I really needed to go into, which was trusting myself, believing in myself so that I could help people. Because my whole life it was like, how could I ever help anybody if I'm a mess, right? And we're all a mess. It doesn't matter if you're spiritual or not. We all have a mess in our life. And it doesn't mean that you have it all figured out, like we said before, right? So this is like an encouraging message to everybody listening that is on that kind of on the edge. It's like, what should I do? Is this right? Is this not right? It's like, if you take your ego out of it and you really ask yourself, what do you want to do? What comes up? So it's asking yourself questions. I think that's something that really helped me during this journey. And of course I have the Akashic Records, but you don't have to have the Akashic Records. You can journal these things out. It's like, what do I really want? If I take out the expectations my family has of me, what my friends tell me is right or wrong, and what society says I should do, and what my head's telling me to do, and what I thought I needed to do, what really comes up? What really lights you up and what really connects you to your purpose? And it's probably going to be something completely different than what your family thinks you should do. Because believe me, that was my path. It's like, hey, if I do this, like my dad's going to be proud of me. If I do this, this is what they expect of me. This is what people will think I am successful if I do this. And it's like, no, if you go down that path, you're going to feel really unfulfilled, and you're not going to be able to connect yourself spiritually and really listen to your intuition because your ego is taken over, right? So this is just a message to anybody listening to really ask yourself those questions and to really question where you want to go and listen to your heart and your intuition, because that's going to guide you in the direction that you need to go and really give you all your answers. That's where the answers come from. That's it. It's that simple. And it might not be the convenient answer. It might not be what everybody else wants to hear. But no one but yourself knows better what you need to do. No one, like not a family member, not your partner, not your boss. No one will know better than you. And the intuition and your gut feeling and that knowing inside of you that you're ignoring is giving you the answer. You're just not listening. So yeah, I hope this message really goes out to those people that it needs to go out to. And I know we didn't go into too many spiritual things or, get into all these channelings, but this is a message that was coming through today, and I really just wanted to share it. And if this does resonate with any of you, feel free to message me. I would love to hear what you're going through and support you. And know that you're not alone. We're here. We're all going through something, and you're gonna be okay. You just need to listen to yourself and really it's like looking yourself in the mirror and acknowledging yourself, because you might not be doing that right now. And I love you guys so much, and I want to send you a big virtual hug, and I hope you're all having a great week and that you have a great week, and we'll be back next week with a new episode. Love you guys. Bye.